Hello friends, I am Mohammad Tariq, Faculty History at Vajiram and Ravi in New Delhi. Today we are going to discuss why you should take history as an optional paper in UPSC exam, civil services exam. Lot of myths, lot of misinformations and perceptions are among the students and even among some parents about some of the optionals. But we can assure you that how history is not only a safe subject but also very important for entire exam itself, not only for optional but for prelims part, GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 4, essay and in interview. The first important thing you should understand that history optional subject or any optional subject which carries 500 marks, you can score 280 plus with little efforts, both by your own self and with the help of we the faculty here at Vajiram and Ravi. The reason is this, that whatever background you have, whether it is science, arts, commerce, technology, medicine, law, etc., history, if read properly in a chronological order with clarity of thoughts and ideas, as it is little bit different from ancient to medieval, medieval to modern, modern to world history. So you have to know some of the terminologies, which of course we will discuss in our classes. Once that terminologies and concepts are clear in your head, then the second round comes about the chronology, about some of the major facts, figure, date. Not too much dates unlike the popular perceptions, but some rough idea about centuries, about decades, and very few date. In such a fashion, you have to first know the ideas, and once you know those basic ideas, you should know what are the chronology of those topics. You should know what are the facts which you have to write, and of course, you have to develop a writing skill, which in any case you have to do in all the optional papers. Now, the correct approach towards reading right materials, listening carefully the lectures, thinking over those topics which you would get in classes, and then taking key points from each of the topics and then practicing. That would ensure you around 280 plus up to 300, even 300 plus, and that would help a lot in your selection. The second thing, how it helps in general studies. As you know, it is sorry, it is in paper 1, paper 2 and in paper 4. In paper 1 directly there would be questions from history, ancient, medieval, modern and world history. In paper 2 there would be constitutional development, like right from 1773 Regulating Act till 1947 India's Independence Act. You have to read series of those acts, particularly 1909 Act, 1919 Act and 1935 Acts. Your polity teacher would also teach this same subject. History teachers would also teach this. Slightly the approaches in history is more about its background and its importance and significance, like what were the importance of 1935 Act which helped it in making of Indian Constitution. This question was asked. Now this can be asked in paper 1, can be asked in paper 2. In paper 4, you know it is about thinkers from ancient, medieval and modern. Now in each part you would get those thinkers from history, Mahatma Buddha, Vardhaman Mahavir, Guru Nanak, Kabir, and in modern time you have plenty of modern writers, thinkers, social reformers from Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Vivekanand, Dayanand, Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Jawaharlal Nehru, B.R. Ambedkar, to name a few. And already they have asked questions like in last year they asked on Gandhi and Nehru and Gandhi and Tagore and their thoughts on nationalism as well as on education, and that was in paper 4. Similarly, in essay, each year they would ask plenty of questions, like I can give you an example. This year essay, which happened only yesterday, that essay in section A and section V, 8 questions as you know they have asked, and you have to write 2 from each section. What is interesting, all the 8 you can answer better than the students of maybe some other subject, because the topics which we discuss in history, like forest precedes civilization and deserts follow them. Now, if you just look at carefully that how the different species of Homo sapiens to Homo nats, before that to Homo erectus and between, and how this civilization of human history came later on. But however the civilizations came and many places were deserted, that includes your Gobi to Sahara. And one of the reasons for the decline of Harappan civilization is also debated in history as ecological imbalance. So that is what, if you read it, and you can give always example, the empires of the future will be the empires of the mind. Now, of course, many students of other subjects can also deal with this, but as a student of history, you can handle it with more confidence, because, even in ancient and medieval time and modern time, the mind power was the biggest power, whether it is Alexander, whether it is some rulers in medieval time, or in the modern time, the colonials from Dutch to British to Portuguese to Spanish. Why they ruled all over the world in 18th, 19th and early 20th century? That was because of the mind. That mind actually is the driving force for your technological development, social development, economic development. And you can have plenty of example if you have read history. Then the doubter is a true man of science. As you know, when Newton asked this question, that why apple fell, and he discovered gravitation. The basis of all knowledge is question and a doubt. And Buddha had a lot of doubts in ancient time. So other leaders had that doubt. Aryabhat had doubt. Ramanuj had doubt. So you can give a lot of such examples through all these topics which is being asked. Now, another important area, that how it helps in your prelims. As you know that around 100 questions in GS would be asked, out of which around 18 to 22 would be from history, roughly in the last 10 years, from ancient, medieval, modern history. Now, if you are having studied history properly, you can easily score 16 out of 18 or 19 out of 22. So that means this subject would take you very close to your qualification for main round. Then how it helps, another very important part in developing your intellectual prowess. History sense is going to teach you about political, social, economic, intellectual developments and processes in ancient, medieval and modern time. Obviously, you would learn various ideas which floated in our society or in any society. There would be always confrontation between various intellectuals, rulers and ideologues of ancient and modern time. Obviously, in the process, you also would develop a thinking mind and analytical mind. And with that mind, when you write your GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, when you write your essay, and when you appear in your interview, you would be different from the crowd, because you have gone through the process of thinking, process of challenging an existing knowledge, process of debating in your mind itself whether partition was inevitable or not, whether British policy of divide and rule was the only policy, or there were other factors for partition of India, whether Gandhi and Ambedkar, when they signed Pune Pact, was it good for India as a whole, or it benefited only one community at the cost of another. That's the debate which is still we are confronting. So many such similar debates in modern India and world, you would know through historical debates, and that is what the point, that your thinking level would definitely improve. And that's the reason why you would see that all the historians in the world, or those who were involved in the historical debates and discussions at whatever level, they would be different at least from the masses. In UPSC exam, it's a competition. So in the competition, they are not going to check your memory alone. They're going to check your thinking power, your analytical power, comparing the two, contrasting the two. For instance, socialism versus capitalism. It's a debate, and entire world is divided. As a student of history, you would find there are a lot of benefits of socialism, a lot of benefits of capitalism, and many countries have benefited from both. Our own country has benefited, US has benefited, Europe has benefited. Now, you cannot take one complete side that only capitalism can be good for human development or only socialism can be good for. So there are certain elements in both which are important. That's why you would find that after every 1 to 2 decades, either capitalism dominate or socialism dominates, and that is because human civilization have learned that there are some very good elements in both. Now this intellectual depth you can have only when you study subjects like history, political science, sociology. In all these 3 subjects, we study with maximum depth and detail, so that intellectual depth would be almost a guarantee with subject like history. And that would help a lot in your entire process of selection. Now, another important part, because of which it becomes very important, subjects like history would always enhance your vocabulary power. It would give you a lot of topics which are used in general: socialism, capitalism, nationalism, communalism. These are very important topics. Liberalism, feminism. You would get the idea of regionalism and sub-regionalism. Now, many such ideas which we had seen in history had divided the world. Now, in India, you have a lot of processes or is through which you would learn, a lot of ideologues of those processes, right from the politicians to bureaucrats to members of civil society. Now, that vocabulary would be of 2 types. One is purely technical, which is used more in a particular subject, and one is related to English. So while reading those technical terms and dealing with the subject, your English language or whichever mother tongue you choose to write history would automatically be increased, and that helps a lot in framing your thought clearly, in writing constructively, and organizing your answer very beautifully in correct chronological order. That comes with the help of vocabulary, whether technical or whether linguistic vocabulary. That would help a lot how to improve your expression power. What is expression? A choice of words and sentences in right manner. Because don't forget, when you write your copy, would be checked by a person whom you're never going to meet in your life. Your copy is your ambassador between you and the teacher who is evaluating. So your words and your sentences should speak on your behalf. In other words, your words and sentences should bat for you when the teacher who is checking your copy, and language becomes very important at that time. You know, in an interview, there would be 5 gentlemen or women who would be interviewing you. But if suppose you fail to convince them, they can always ask, please repeat, I didn't understand, what do you mean, type of conversation. But in the main exam, you don't have a retake. And once you wrote, make sure that the person who is checking copy understands exactly what you wanted to tell. Since I have checked hundreds and thousands of copies for UPSC aspirants as well as other aspirants, so what my understanding was this, that quite often a student wanted to say something, but he wrote something else. Now, on the basis of my own understanding, I thought, oh, he wanted to say this, but he wrote a wrong sentence, a wrong words. Now, this, of course, would create doubt in the minds of the teacher whether we should give right marks or not. And somebody imagine just your another copy or another student who wrote, he wrote a right word, right choice of sentences, obviously we will give him more marks. And that is where this point is very important. And lastly, how it would negotiate very well on your behalf when you appear in personality test and interview. A student of history optional would have like a bird's view of human civilization. You have a good understanding of last 3000 years of Indian history and world history little earlier. So of course all the questions which they would be designed would be spontaneous, but with the help of history and historical background, you can frame your thought in a better way. Of course, it may happen to other subjects also, but history optionals would give you some edge, as you would have more examples from ancient history, medieval history, modern history, world history. And I saw even in the board, members often quote some historians, some historical characters, some famous personalities, and sometimes only 5 to 10 minutes of interviews goes only on something historical, even if you're not from history optional background. So that's what the advantage of reading history holistically for optional paper. So join us at Vajiram, and we are going to start our new batch from 6th of October, and we are 4 people here, each one of going to teach each section, and I'm sure you would enjoy the entire process. You would learn a lot, and it would help you in cracking civil service exam. Thank you very much. God bless you.